Well, now, I do apologize for that. The computer shut down for no reason, no how. Anyways, I should note as well, this map comes from the American Battlefield Trust. It's public domain, but it's a beautiful map. They've done a great job with it. And if you want to know more about the complete battle, as well as other Civil War battles, check out the American Battlefield Trust. Okay, so here we go again, and I apologize for that. So, okay, here we go. Back to this again. Oh, yes, I was likening it to like two not very skilled boxers, prize fighters, just pummeling on each other for hours. Neither one going down. You know, kind of like a Rocky Apollo Creed situation kind of thing. And the battle went on for hours. The armor of both ships proved adequate. When the Monitor was hit, damage was minor or even negligible. When it could be hit with such a low profile, it was difficult to hit. And the 15-pound powder charge came back to haunt them. It didn't give them enough to penetrate the Virginia's sloped and thick armor. And afterwards, I guess this wasn't done in the rush to get it deployed, they tested the Dahlgren guns with the 30-pound charge, and they were fine. So, in any case, basically, they ended up just basically circling each other and firing. And at one point, the Monitor was close to penetrating the Virginia's armor, but its weapons started to misfire and lost the advantage. And at 10 a.m. that morning, probably when the tide was going out again, the Virginia grounded. And the Monitor opened fire, but the Virginia was able to scrape off the ground and get back into it. The battle finally concluded when a shell from Virginia struck the pilot house of Monitor and exploded, and that drove fragments of paint and iron through the viewing slits into Warden's eyes and temporarily blinded him. No one else could see to command the ship, so they just hightailed it out of there. When they did get an executive officer, Samuel Dana Green, up into the pilot house, he took over and they returned to the fight. In the meantime, however, they found that Virginia had withdrawn. Minnesota was still aground, and the falling tide meant she was still out of reach for Virginia, and she had suffered enough damage to require extensive repair. Also, Jones felt that he won. So he's like, okay, let's go back to Norfolk and declare victory, and which it was, I mean, overall, although it was pretty much a draw between the two ironclads. And then, of course, the Union claimed victory because they figured the Monitor showed up again, and then Virginia took off. Well, that's not quite the way it worked, but you know how these things go, right? Okay, and so I'm going to read directly from a letter that Confederate Secretary of Navy Stephen Mallory wrote to Confederate President Jefferson Davis regarding the action. And this is a contemporary letter. It's not one that was written years later. The conduct of the officers and men of the squadron reflects unfading honor upon themselves and upon the Navy. The report will be read with deep interest, and its details will not fail to rouse the ardor and nerve the arms of our gallant seamen. It will be remembered that the Virginia was a novelty in naval architecture, wholly unlike every ship that ever floated, that her heaviest guns were equal novelties in ordnance, that her motive power and obedience to her helm were untried, and her officers and crew strangers comparatively to the ship and to each other. And yet, under all these disadvantages, the dashing courage and consummate professional ability of Flag Officer Buchanan and his associates achieved the most remarkable victory which naval annals record. And in Washington, in the mistaken belief that the Monitor had beaten the Virginia, Worden and his men were awarded the thanks of Congress, resolved that the thanks of Congress and the American people are due and are hereby tendered to Lieutenant J.L. Worden of the United States Navy and to the officers and men of the ironclad gunboat Monitor, under his command, for the skill and gallantry exhibited by them in the remarkable battle between the Monitor and the rebel ironclad steamer Merrimack. After that, it was a standoff pretty much till the end of the war. The blockade continued. The Confederacy never managed to break it, and the Union eventually won. Before we get on to actually looking at the kit, amazing, eh? Just a few stats. Over the 2-day engagement, USS Minnesota shot off 78 rounds of 10-inch solid shot, 67 rounds of 10-inch shells with 15-second fuse, 169 rounds of 9-inch solid shot, 189-inch shells with 15-second fuse, 35 8-inch shells, 15-second fuse, and 5,567.5 pounds of service powder. And they had 3 crew members killed and 16 wounded. And Congress awarded 2 Medals of Honor to the Monitor's crew, Quartermaster Peter Williams, and actually 1 to Quartermaster Peter Williams for his actions during the battle. Virginia was stuck in dry dock for almost a month, and the Monitor was steaming back up the river when it hit choppy water, and she got swamped, capsized, and sank. So there you have it, the first engagement between ironclad warships. Okay, so I'm going to move again. Here we go. Down to the science. Go. So yeah, from 1962, and this was actually reissued with new parts in 2021. So as I said, initially it was first a Lindbergh kit, and it is catalog number L, as in Lindbergh, 77257. And now, Merrimack, they spell it with no K here, but it actually is correctly spelled with a K, although in the South, they don't spell it with a K. So there you go. All right, so here we go. Difference. And made in the USA, which is great. And they do not recommend specific paint manufacturer, just black, white, gold, brown, silver, and wood. And you get 2 decal choices: Battle of the Ironclads, Monitor and Merrimack, or Battle of the Ironclads, USS Monitor and CSS Virginia. So you can take your pick. And there's a nice pistol and sword here, Civil War era, nice box art. This is a picture of the actual model. And yeah, so as we can see here, very low profile. We've got the one turret. This was the pilot house that they looked through, and back here were vents for the steam exhaust, and here there was they could put a pipe up for when they weren't in action, and just steaming along wherever they managed to go. So made in America, age 14 and up. And I'll just go over this quickly, what they write. March 9th, 1862, naval battle took March 8th and 9th. Took place off the coast of Virginia that would forever change warfare at sea. This infamous battle is relived with the Atlantis models, the Battle of the Ironclads, historical diorama scene. This plastic model set comes with a historical booklet describing the Battle of Hampton Roads and the development of the first ironclad ships leading up to the face-off. It's perfect for a school project, they know, which it is. Ships also come with their own individual display stands and nameplates if you don't want to put them in the dioramas base. This moment in naval history changed naval warfare forever and made every other navy in the world obsolete. It was an awesome and dangerous achievement in a sad and bitter war, which is pretty much the truth of it all. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Okay, we got a nice decal set. Oh, and Steve figured it out. You know, cartograph decals are water slide decals, as opposed to dry transfer decals. Even at the age of 62, I'm still capable of learning. And still capable of making stupid assumptions. Okay, so not much to it. A couple of flags. And then we've got for the plates here. And you've got your choice. And these are copyright 2021, Atlantis Toy and Hobby. Okay, and here we get the base. And Happy Guys Workshop, HPI Guys Workshop. He built this up, and you know, this is just whatever, right? But you know, you glue it down to a piece of cardboard, it's going to be plenty sturdy, and you know, you've got the roiling waters from the shells and the waves, and it decorates up nicely if you so choose to do that. And we get this nice little booklet. Let's look at the booklet and not Steve's tummy, okay? There we go. Yeah, so we get this nice little booklet. I'm going to bring this down so we can... Is that better? No, that's better. There we go. Okay, and you get some nice photographs here. And here is an actual photograph of, well, a reprinted photograph of the CSS Virginia. And you can see here the guns and the sloped armor. And get some others here. This is the monitor, and they also put this tent-like cover on top. Get pretty warm in there in the summer, and when you're out at sea, especially on an iron ship, and so that provided them with a bit of shade. And here again we have the CSS Virginia. This is an artist's rendition, and you can see the difference in the size. You know, this was very much designed for shallower waters, highly maneuverable. Whereas this was it was a clunky big ram thing with so. And then we have this artist's rendition from a contemporary newspaper. And the caption reads, "The Great Fight Between the Merrimack and Monitor, March 9th, 1862. So, yes. So although the Battle of Hampton Roads started on March 8th, the battle between the Ironclads was on the 9th. And so we see here again, same situation with the sail ships in the background. And again, this looks like an artist's etching or a pencil drawing, once again. I doubt they were trailing along in a little boat there, but in any case. So, yeah. To finish it all up, as I said, the battle itself was mostly a draw, although a tactical victory for the Confederacy. It didn't break the blockade. And 2 months later, the Union Navy and Army drove them out of Norfolk. So at that time, they scuttled the Merrimack rather than surrender her back to the Union. And the Monitor was steaming up the coast of North Carolina in January 1863 when it sunk. But it had no further engagements after that day. So that's very interesting, a very nice touch. And if you know Americans, I'll tell you they're crazy about their Civil War history. And just like for the English Civil War, they do reenactments, and they preserve many of the battlefields. I've been to Gettysburg, along with a few other Civil War battlefields, and it's very interesting. Okay, so as I said, this is not a complex kit. So everything comes in one bag here. And a bit of a dog's breakfast in here, but that's what you get with Atlantis sometimes. Although I like Atlantis kits, nothing wrong with them. Okay, so yeah, we've got, these are the display stands. We've got a boat with no detail. Display stands, looks like stuff. Oh, there we go. Okay. As you saw, there's not a lot of superstructure. There's another, what do you call these things? Funnel, air intake, whatever. Yeah. That'll be for the turret, I expect. Here's the Merrimack. We have some nice detail here. I expect this would have been either metal mesh or possibly even wicker, but for ventilation. We've got lots and lots of rivet marks here. Ports for the guns. Detail wood deck. A little bit of flash here and here. But the fit looks pretty good. Let me see here. Yeah, fits perfect actually. There you go. All one piece. And again here on the underside, you can see all the iron plates and rivets. And for the monitor, there we go. Again, good fit. Let's get it in there. There we go. Perfect fit. No problems, no gaps. Got detail on the bottom here. And yeah, so here's the pilot house they were talking about. So anybody back here wouldn't be able to see, or down in here. And then here, these were two vents that they put steam stacks on or whatever. So. And we get another boat here, a little boat, and the stern deck of the Merrimack. Nameplate for the monitor. And this is what I call a fairly inexpensive kit you get to see what you can do with it. And just going to double check here. Put it back in there. Excuse me. Okay, so yeah, this was $52.84. With free shipping. So, you know, it's one of those things. This kit isn't worth $53. Okay, it's just, you know, it's not. It's an interesting novelty, but it does build up very nicely. It's not complicated, but it's going to make a nice little diorama. So here you go. You've got 4 steps, pretty much. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the stand if you want to put it on the stand. And likewise here. D. Turn her over here. Shows you how to do the flagging. And they give you some nice tips here. Silver may be applied over painted engraved metal areas with the dry brush method. Give it a metallized effect. You can do the same thing with white for the shell explosions. And then it gives you, you know, your can with the paints. They give you some tips, take your time, how to apply the decals, and etc., etc. So, the one thing, if you do decide you're going to use this, then you don't put the propellers and rudders on the hulls of the ships. Otherwise, they won't sit properly. So if you want propellers and rudders, you want to put them on the stand. If you want them on your little diorama base here, which I think, and I've seen it paint up really nice, really cool, then you leave that out. So, you know, like with wheels up landing gear, it's a shame to waste that stuff, but maybe be able to find it for something else. So. Okay, and so we move to the rating. I use a 12-point system. It's 10 standard points, up to 2 points for packaging, up to 2 points for sprues, up to 3 points for parts, and up to 3 points for instructions. In addition to that, each category can get a quarter-point bonus for any wow factors. Something you don't expect, something they've included that, you know, they didn't have to, but they did, that kind of thing. And then at the end, up to a full bonus point for value, which would be, you know, how much enjoyment and how many hours of entertainment am I going to get out of it. So, okay, so for this one on the packaging, the box art's nice. The box is a little big for what it needs to be, so I'm only going to give them 1.75 on that. The sprues, everything looked complete. There was some flash, stuff was broken off. You get that sometimes with Atlantis, but usually everything's there and everything's okay, which it seems to be. But again, 1.75 quarter-point bonus off for the bit of flash in that. As far as the quality of the plastic of the parts goes, it was good. Detail was pretty good. Didn't seem to be any warped or broken parts. And, you know, decals were adequate. So, a full 3 on that. And for the instructions, they were very basic. You know, but they did include that whole separate booklet. So instead of 2.5, I'm going to give them 2 3/4 for that. And as far as value goes, just a quarter point. You know, $53. You know, it is what it is. So, you know, I don't know. I probably won't take me 10 hours. If I really wanted to, might. But it's probably a weekender, actually. So, yeah, didn't pay too much, but wouldn't want to pay more. That brings us to a total of $9.75 out of 12. Didn't break the 10, unfortunately. But for a younger person, especially in the United States, who's interested in this kind of thing, it's pretty unique. You know, there's Civil War model kits and stuff out there, but you know, nothing much for kids really, or young modelers or modelers who might be on a budget. So, but you can see here, as I say, this is a picture of the completed painted model. Not this, but and you can see the water effects that they've done here, and the detailing that you can get on it. Excuse me. And so a lot of opportunity for decorating that up, which is really, I mean, that's where the craft moves into the art. And so looks like looks like a fun kit. It'll be a lot of fun. And I expect I will put it on the base here, just because, two separate ships on two separate stands on the shelf, you know what happens, right? Not only do they gather dust, they get knocked and fall off. Whereas this way they can go in a nice little corner where everybody can see them and go, oh wow, I never seen a model like that before. So there we go. So that's it for today, and sorry again about the interruption. I hope everybody checks out part 1 and comes back for part 2. So thanks again. Thanks to all my subscribers. 370 now, or 470, excuse me. So thanks to everyone. And Peter Oxley did a great video today with live chat on the Battle of Britain. It's that time of the year, and so that's worth checking out. And also Novice Modeling in the Midlife Crisis, check out his channel. He does a lot of great stuff. As a matter of fact, he just completed a Matchbox 1700 USS Indianapolis, which he did a very good job on. So, all right. So again, that's it for now, and thanks for stopping in. Next video will be on the Horton, and it'll probably come out before this one. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.